Hello everyone. So today I want us to consider why healthcare for illegal alien invaders is such a make or break thing for Democrats. Okay, so I found it a little strange that they were like holding it onto it so much, right? Like just a couple of months ago, when we were trying to get like the suppressors and SBRs out of the NFA. You know what? Republicans, I think they held on for like maybe 2 or 3 days, and then they dropped it. You know, they said, okay, gun owners, especially gun owners that want these things, they're a very tiny minority. You know, they gave us a little crumb. They basically said, fine, the $200 tax stamp is out of the, is out of the NFA, but they really didn't, go to bat, go to bat to us, right? They weren't willing to go down with the ship, fighting for us. So I'm trying to figure out, or I was trying to figure out, I think I figured it out, why Democrats are like willing to die on this hill to get health care for these illegals that are in the country. And on the surface, you might say, okay, well, the answer is because they're hoping that at some point in the future, they might become citizens and they might vote for Democrats. The problem with that is that, first of all, like everybody's kind of caught on to this, right? That's like way off in the future if it was to even happen, and it's not likely to happen because Republicans have caught on to it. And the other thing is with migrants, once they become legalized, they tend to be conservative, right? Because I know, because I come from a family of legal migrants. We came here legally. Once migrants get into the country, they tend to have their own businesses, right? Just because they can't go do office jobs, so they do the type of work that eventually, leads to them having businesses and actually making a lot more money than a lot of people that are already here. But that's another story. It's a reason why you don't want to let illegals into the country. It's really hard to compete with them, okay? Because they're willing to do things that most Americans are not willing to do, which in the long term leads to a lot of money. But that aside, trying to figure out why Democrats are willing to die on this hill, right? So I did a little research into this. The answers are kind of out there if you dig into it. So there's somewhere between 20 and 30 illegal alien invaders in this country. And what happens when these people end up in the hospital, right? In the emergency room, basically government has to pay for the healthcare. Again, there's a lot of them, okay? 20 to 30 million. So in these blue states like California specifically, probably New York and also Illinois, I haven't looked too much into it, but definitely in California, they get healthcare through the state that the federal government then subsidizes, right? So Democrats are kind of lying when they're saying that the federal government is not paying for the health care of these illegals. The federal government is not paying for it directly; it's paying for it indirectly. Okay, so that turns out to be a really big number. So a couple of months ago, I think it was back in March, the Republicans put a stop to this. Okay, they put a stop to it. So that those, the healthcare of the states that are paying for these illegals could not be subsidized, and now the states are most likely paying for this out of pocket. Okay, I say most likely because I haven't seen the numbers myself. I haven't looked in their books. But if the federal government's not paying for it, who's stuck with the bill? It's the states. So now you got 20 to 30 million illegals in the country that are getting free health care from the state. Like in California, they have a program called Med-Cal, okay, which is going to go bankrupt if this continues, right? They're going to, California is going to crash, okay? So this sort of explains why, getting the federal government to subsidize the healthcare of these illegals is a make or break. Okay, if they don't get it back, those blue states are going to collapse. This is not something that they can just ride out. Okay, because there's a lot of them, and healthcare is expensive. And what's going to happen if they don't get it right, if the federal government doesn't subsidize this healthcare, what are these states going to do? They're going to end up having to get rid of these illegals. Sooner or later, they're going to have to come around to aiding the U.S., the federal government, to aiding Trump in actually deporting them, as opposed to basically completely bankrupt the state. These states paying for their health care. So that's the situation that I believe the Democrats are in, and that's a situation why this is an absolute make or break for Democrats. They have to get this federal subsidies back for their state healthcare systems to pay for the healthcare of these illegals, because they're going to go broke. Okay, they're probably already going broke because this started back in March. So now this is several months of states like California eating this, and they know that this can't continue. So that's why they are like, this is the hill that we die on. Okay, and Trump has figured this out. So obviously he's not going to give in. Republicans are not going to give in to this. And Trump's actually going even harder, because now he's cut off the federal subsidies for the infrastructure for these states, on the basis that they're using DEI hiring practices, which the Supreme Court has said are unconstitutional. So they've got, Trump's got really solid ground to stand on for pulling that additional funding. So, Trump is a financial guy, right? So his mindset is to attack his enemies financially. And I think it's working out great. I mean, you can see how they are absolutely panicking. The Democrats are absolutely panicking over this. So again, I had to do a little bit of thinking on this. I had to do a little bit of research, and I was trying to figure out exactly why this is the hill that Democrats want to die on. And now it makes sense when you look at it in this context, that the healthcare for these illegals is going to break them if they don't get the federal government to pay for it. Okay? So anyway, drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you all soon.